Hello and what's up, guys? Here with another update, this time 15 weeks out. I'm training legs. This is my third final leg workout on the current training block, and I'll just take you through it like I always do. So only showing the top sets this update, and here we've got 355 plus a sled on for my third and final set of 12. As I explained in a previous video, this is supersetted with the next exercise, which is barbell jump squats, but something that I feel a huge benefit to developing quadriceps and legs in general, but especially the upper quads. I just try to keep everything in line here, so hips, knees, ankles all in line, toes just with a slight, like maybe a 5-degree or 10-degree outward angle. And then, like I said, supersetted with the jump squats here. And 3 sets of 8 on the back half of this superset. And the sets went 230, 235, 240, seen here. Nothing too fancy, just why I decided to do the barbell jump squats this training block is just because I had done multiple in a row with a traditional barbell back squat, and just wasn't any more room for progression on that. And it was my lower back was starting to give me some feedback on it, talking about 20 plus weeks of trying to PR at least one set on a barbell back squat will do that. So just time to switch it out just for this one training block probably. Next superset is the seated hamstring curl, shown here, 3 sets of 12. My last 2 sets being 152 and a half. And then supersetting that with a lying exercise ball curl. Just a superset for the hamstrings. On the front half of the superset, the seated hamstring curls, I feel it like a tremendous activation at the lower aspect of my hamstrings versus here it's more towards the top. So this certainly isn't a hip extension movement, it's still knee flexion, but just a different angle to kind of hit the hamstrings on a knee flexion movement. And as you can see here, at 15 weeks out, I woke up at 168 point some pounds. Condition still way ahead of schedule, 2 weeks out from my next big skip load. And just going to grind out some more detail over these next 2 weeks. So from the lying exercise ball curls, do straight sets of barbell walking lunges. All 3 sets this week are at 130 pounds, 12 lunges per leg. And again, you see the way that I do these, that they're not gargantuan strides. They're actually quite short strides. What I'm trying to do is kind of make this an even quads, hamstring, and glute movement versus mostly glute with these strides. Just trying to drop my back knee behind my front heel. Trying to keep my torso upright, but as the set goes on, shoulders get over knees. It's not necessarily like a safety precaution with only 130 pounds on there, but just to make sure that I'm trying to activate the targeted muscles that I'm planning on attacking throughout the set. And then from there, it goes to my favorite hamstring exercise, which is a barbell stiff leg deadlift, which is a primarily hip extension / hip hinge movement that probably 80% of people that I see doing them on their social media do horribly incorrectly. So let me explain the proper execution of a barbell stiff leg deadlift. A stiff-legged barbell deadlift will target your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower back, and to even some extent your quads. So stand with your feet about 8 inches apart at the start of the set. I choose to do a double overhand grip just because it's something that I'm most comfortable with, and I can balance the bar totally evenly. It's not even something that comes into my conscious train of thought at this point, but the grip really doesn't matter. You want to keep your legs straight and your back straight and your head up. So you don't want to crane your neck backwards. You don't want to create an arch in your back. You want your spine neutral, and same with your legs. So you don't want to be hyperextending at the knee joint ever. As with any deadlift, obviously your elbows are locked straight. There shouldn't be any sort of bicep activation. You're asking for a bicep injury at that point. What you are going to do is you're going to lower that barbell to the floor with your legs straight, not locked. What is actually going to allow you to do so is hip extension and flexion only. That's the only thing you should be thinking of. So, as you stand up, your hips are obviously going to come inwards. Your hips are obviously going to be pushed out on the negative. So as you can see here, there's a lot of hip action. My knee is never actually locked out, and there's never any knee flexion that starts the movement. The only degree of knee flexion that there is a byproduct of me extending and flexing my hips, by me shoving my hips backwards and then pulling them into the bar. This movement should never start with torso movement or knee flexion. So hips go back, hips come forward. As a result of that, your torso is going to go down, the barbell is going to come down, your knees are going to flex just slightly, and as you push your hips inwards, the reciprocal of all of those movements will happen as a byproduct of hip hinge movement. Anyways, top set was 325 by 12. Had to go to a little bit of an angry place to get that, but that's how it goes sometimes. So after the stiff leg deadlifts, some more straight sets, but we move on to calves. So seated calf raise, nothing too extravagant here. So working the main calf muscles here, my upper thighs, just try to keep them in line with my hips and my knees yet again. Raise up on my toes as high as I can. Lower my heels to the lowest possible comfortable position. 3 sets of 8, 177.5 pounds for all 3 sets this week. After the seated calf raises, go to a Smith calf raise. So again, another bread and butter calf exercise as far as calf exercises go. So I just have the balls of my feet on a little wooden block here. Try to keep my back straight, head up. My legs are locked here. Don't let my hips move front or forwards and backwards. Again, just trying to raise up on my toes as high as possible. Hold it for a sec. Return to the starting position. 3 sets of 11, 235 on the first 2 sets, and then 240 on the last set. And we just move to abs. Keep everything pretty simple. So then it's 5 sets of 15 is what I generally do for abs. This is just obviously your standard sit up, and not too much that I'm really worrying about here. Like obviously I'm working on my upper abdominals. Trying to keep my knees bent at 45 degrees and not really pop up with my hips or anything like that. Have my hands behind my head, my chin on my chest, just lie back till my lower back touches, and then I'm just coming up, squeezing the abs. From there, we're doing oblique crunches, 5 sets of 15 per side. So same kind of idea here, trying to connect my shoulder to my hips, get a big stretch, contract, exhale, squeeze the abs for a second. Like I said, 5 sets of 15. One side and then switch around, do the other. This is kind of like my favorite and my most commonly programmed oblique exercise. Again, like not trying to do anything with super heavy weight and trying to thicken my waistline at all. As a matter of fact, I think my waistline will actually be smaller this year than any previous years, and that's just because I've kept up with my ab training for several months in a row now. And after that, it's lying leg raises, which is something that's, in theory, for lower abdominals. So not really worrying about the height of my toes or anything like that. What I'm, again, trying to do is, from a reverse plane, I'm trying to connect my hips this time up to my shoulders, trying to keep my back neutral, working the hip flexors and the lower abdominals, like I said. And then after that, it's just planks, and I do the planks for 5 sets of 1 minute each. There's nothing too fancy, but there's just, just something to tie everything in. Works a little bit of like a different aspect of your abdominals. So working a TVA here. Also helps tremendously with core strengths, a little bit with lower back, a little bit with the hip flexors. But that's about it. So that's the entire leg day there. Hope you guys enjoyed this update. I'll probably send out another one over the next few days as well. Skip load went well. Obviously, weights below baseline. Every few days, I'm noticing different cuts, striations, separations. So, just keep following me. Like I said, you can subscribe, like these videos, share them. Anytime you have any questions at all, any questions about the video or any questions about any of my posts, like I said, I'm on Instagram. It's Brandon Lazert 93. You can add me on Facebook. Any way you want to reach out, I'll always do my best to answer back. And here's some posing from after the workout today. So like I said, I'm 15 weeks out. I ain't never had a back like this before, so I'm always impressing myself with every pound that comes off. A little bit more of this back that I can see. Before my first competition, my back was definitely a weak point along with my shoulders, and for nationals I kind of made my back not necessarily a weak point, but definitely not a strength. But coming in this show, it'll absolutely be a strength. Anyone that knows me knows, of course, abs and thighs, that's my pose, and it's going to be pretty hard for any lightweight in Canada to beat me in that pose. But the condition is coming along. It's not there. It would not be there at 15 weeks. But I think you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone that's going to bring condition at a regional level show combined with aesthetics and density at this weight around Canada anyway. So, or that I'm aware of. But until next time, guys, stay safe. Hope you guys are keeping sane. I know it gets harder. We're going to get through this together. And until next time, have fun and good luck.